So in this video, I'm going to look at how you can make your Zoom sessions more secure. And the web interface provides many more security options than the Zoom client. So I'm going to sign in through my web portal, and we're going to look at a few security things that you should think about when setting up your Zoom meetings. So the first, oh, you got the password wrong. So the first thing that you should remember in order to secure your Zoom meetings is never share the meeting link to your participants. Rather than that, we're going to look at how you can set your meetings up so all participants have to register before they can join the meeting. Certainly never share the meeting link publicly, like on Facebook or other social media sites. So once you signed into Zoom, even before you go into scheduling meetings and setting specific meeting security features, you want to set up preferences for your account. So you would go to settings, and then this will set up defaults that allow all of your meetings to use these settings. And there are quite a few security settings that are in this page. So first of all, I generally always turn off the my video and participants video. It's not really a security thing, but it just helps for meeting control and bandwidth control, etc. The other thing, I will always turn off allow participants to join before the host arrives. What this means is that no one can go in and start to disrupt your meeting before you get there. So I turn this off automatically. Personal meeting ID, yeah, these are not so much critical for security. This one, however, only allow authenticated users to join meetings. This can really provide some extra level of security, particularly if you're having departmental meetings and such, and you don't want to require registration because it's a recurring meeting, like, for example, a faculty board meeting or whatever the case might be. What you can do then is, if you allow only authenticated users, in other words, turn this setting on, you could set it so that only people with UB accounts can join the meeting. And that way then you already will cut out a number of outsiders. Only allow authenticated meetings from the web client. So that means that if people are not using the Zoom host, you can force them to sign in or use only UB email accounts. A password, if you set this here, this means that every meeting that you set up will require a password, and that's up to you. You can add a password if you want or not. Require a password for instant meetings. Same here for when you're setting up, when you're just going in and starting a meeting immediately. What this will do is will require a password automatically to be enabled. I would discourage you from turning this one on, embed password in meeting link, because what this does is that even if you have added a password to your meeting, that password is automatically encrypted into the join link, so that as soon as someone clicks the link to join the meeting, that password is automatically entered, and it turns that password protected meeting into a meeting with an open URL. Again, all of these password features you can decide whether you want or not to turn them on. Mute participants on entry. This is another potential security or meeting control thing. This way you can ensure that there's not a lot of cacophony when everyone joins the meeting at the same time. This is, again, personal preference. In meeting preferences, though, these are the ones that are really, really important for security. So the first thing that you want to look at is to decide whether you want to allow file transfer during the meeting. This has not really been happening a lot, but if you enable this, this will allow meeting participants to send files to one another through the meeting chat. And of course, it does open up the possibility of sending malware files. So I generally turn this off. Co-host, allow the host to add co-host. If you really want to keep strict control of your meetings, you can always turn this off. And then what it will mean is that only you can host your meetings. Oftentimes, however, you do want to allow other people to present, so you may want to leave this open for now. Zoom sharing, screen sharing. Now, this is the one that is really critical. Screen sharing, of course, you usually want to turn this on to allow yourself or your co-hosts to screen share so that they can prevent. But one of the things that you must ensure is that once screen sharing is turned on, only the host is allowed to screen share, or host or co-host is allowed to screen share. Do not turn this on, because this is what allows other people to take over the meeting and then start uploading pictures and scribbles or whatever else. The other thing that you want to turn off, you want to disable desktop screen share for users. So set this to off. Turn this one off as well. So if you leave this on, it means that any of the users can annotate the screen, start drawing on the screen. So you want to turn this off, and that means that they're not going to be allowed to start scribbling and drawing on the screen. Also, you want to not allow participants to share the whiteboard. You might want to leave this on just in case, even though you have participants sharing turned off, if you decide during the meeting you want to allow a specific person, if you leave this remote control button on, then you can set someone else to screen share if needs be during the meeting. Of course, if you want to keep it extra secure, turn this one off as well. Allow removed participants to rejoin. Leave this disabled. If you have to remove someone, don't allow them to rejoin. If you are removing people because you're not sure, then maybe turn this back on and then allow them to rejoin. This one here is, some people decide not to allow people to rename themselves, and that way their sign-in name is what shows up. So it potentially allows for easier identification. But here at UB, we have some strange username IDs, so it's not always easy to identify people if they haven't actually set up their account. And if their username appears, then you can't really figure out who it is so easily. And show participants' profile picture. Again, this is up to you. This is not so much a security issue, unless you are concerned that people will put offensive pictures to share, and in that case, you would by default turn this off. In the meeting, again, guests give hosts option to report participants to Zoom. This one, if you enable this, you can actually then, if you see someone doing things that they are not supposed to, you can actually report that person. And if Zoom investigates and finds that this is a bad actor, then they can block that IP from using Zoom again. Breakout rooms, remote support, these are more enabling features, not so much security features. Virtual background, again, these are sort of, I would, if you really want to be extra secure, I would turn this off because people can put objectionable things in the background. Identify guest participants. Yeah, not so much need to worry about that. Regions. Okay, yeah, waiting room is another security feature that you should probably enable. So if you enable the waiting room, what it means is that no one can sign directly into your meeting. And what happens is that when participants join, they are sent automatically to a waiting room, and then they are only allowed to join once you as the host click and enable them to join the meeting. You can as well just go ahead and allow everyone in the meeting room the waiting room to join the meeting rather than having to click through individually. But this at least provides another level of screening when you are setting up your meeting. Show a join from your browser link. If you turn this off, it means that only people with a Zoom client can join. This, I would say, it does provide extra security, but it means that if there are some people who can't download and install Zoom client, they won't be able to join the meeting. This is up to you. I would definitely turn this off, allow live streaming, because what it can enable is a hacker to stream some offensive content during the meeting. Yeah, so these are all things that talk about how to communicate during the meeting. I wouldn't really worry so much about those. Okay, good. So then once you have set all of those settings up appropriately, then you can go and schedule your meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a meeting. So go back to my profile. I'm going to go and schedule a meeting, because there are a couple of more security things that you want to add in. I'm not going to worry so much about the time. And then this here is where you can require registration. And what will happen then is you will generate a registration link. It means that people will have to click that, sign up for the meeting, and then you can then they can join the meeting by a unique link that will be sent to each participant. Require a meeting password. Again, that's up to you. It's going to be included in the registration form anyway, so you don't need to worry about remembering it or copying it. Note that my waiting room is enabled. Also, I've turned off enable join before host. Everyone's going to be muted. This is where you can add only authenticated users, either by signing in or by UB email only. So I'm going to make this extra secure. And so this will tell you what the UB email accounts can sign in. And I'm going to record my meeting directly to the local computer. So I save those settings, and now this here is the registration link that you can then share on your flyer or whatever else. You could also just copy the meeting invitation. It will look like this, and it will say register in advance for this meeting. And you might edit this to say you must register or whatever the case might be. Note that you can edit what that email says by going here to edit this meeting. Additionally, you can edit the registration options. If you want to add another level of security, instead of just allowing anyone who registers to be allowed to join the meeting, you could say manually approve. And what will happen then is that whenever someone registers, you will actually have to go in and approve that person before they're allowed to join. You can also set an email to be sent to you when someone registers, and that way you will know actually when the person registers, and hence then be able to know when to go and approve or disapprove. And so just for a quick review, to secure, first go to settings, do those settings that we've gone through earlier. Then the second thing that you want to do is when you're setting up your meeting, make sure that you include register for the meeting. So I hope this helped, and happy Zooming, as they say.